Well, Kenny, it finished Arsenal 4, Crystal Palace 1. Pretty dominant win by the Gunners, who go 8 points clear at the top of the table. And it's just hard to see them losing a game now. They've got 10 left this season. The goals are flying in.
Got them penciled in as toilet winners then.
Well, I kind of always fancied. I didn't. I thought people talking about them as them. Yeah, but people talking about them as bottlers and all. I just don't see it in this Arsenal team. They've got a bit of grit and determination there, don't they?
No, I agree with you. Maybe you could suggest a couple of weeks ago, maybe a slight wobble in terms of performances. Remember the Villa game?
Yeah.
Obviously left it late there, a little bit open, conceded. And remember the Leicester game after that, they weren't at their best. That coincided now with Partey being out of the team, but they ground out those two victories kind of back to back, and you just feel as if they just found their mojo since then. And today was a good example of it. You know, that kind of fast-paced, dynamic, attacking football that we were used to seeing probably for the whole of the first half of the season. They're kind of back in that kind of groove, and that doesn't augur very well for Manchester City.
When you look at Arsenal playing and you see the different little passing moves that they make in the build up to these goals, there's times when you think, oh, they might be taking too much out of the ball here, but it just seems to work for them now. Everything is just going so well.
Yeah, they're patient, got those little kind of fixed patterns. We know how they play now. We know the positions that Zinchenko takes up now in central midfield. That pushes Xhaka higher up, so they almost play with two number 10s. Xhaka playing just in behind off the left, and Odegaard gets pushed a little bit right of centre to the right hand side. And I think that's mostly where Arsenal's threat come from. He gets pushed closer to Saka than that side of the pitch, and they love playing with each other. It's natural, the kind of the link-up play between them two. They can anticipate each other's movements, etc. Ben White kind of joins in, and to be fair, was done very well today. Ben White in the last third of the pitch is kind of fine delivery. His productivity is predominantly like an out-and-out defender, centre half really. So yeah, Arsenal really carried the threat down that side of the pitch. Yeah, and it was a top-class performance. It wasn't perfect maybe at times, a little bit sloppy, maybe final ball at times in that first half of the game. But you'd have to give Palace credit, a little bit of credit for that. I thought their defensive setup was good. You know, weren't easy to open up, so Arsenal had to be patient, keep moving the ball. You have to move it quick. Movement ahead of the ball has to be good. And yeah, the quality eventually has to be there. And they found that Arsenal. I think they wrestled with it a little bit, maybe first 20-25 minutes. But yeah, they didn't panic. Just kept playing their football. That confidence you're talking about, that kind of self-belief. They believe in each other. Let's keep going. You know, let's keep rolling it out, and the goals will come. And they did. It was a spirited Crystal Palace performance, but yeah, just couldn't live with Arsenal on the day.
As we talked about during the game as well, they don't have that out-and-out striker. So how important it is for the two wingers, Martinelli and Saka, to be bagging a lot of goals. They got over 24 between them. It's been a brilliant record for them, or a return from them, hasn't it, this season? Yeah,
I hear what you're saying in terms of not an out-and-out strike. I'd probably disagree with that when Gabriel, certainly when Jesus is available. I consider him a centre forward. I think he's a number 9. I know people say, well, he drops off in the deep position, he goes into wide areas, and he does, absolutely, no doubt about that. But he's very comfortable in that central striking position. He makes good runs in the box. So for me, he's got a lot of the attributes of a natural number 9. Just doesn't discipline himself to play as an orthodox number 9. As we see possibly with Haaland off the shoulders of the last defenders, just waiting for the ball to come to him. He goes hunting the ball. He likes to be involved in the build-up as well. And you're right, when he drops off into those little pockets, that's generally the trigger for the likes of Saka and Martinelli to drive into those spaces, those diagonal runs from outside to in into the space in behind. They're very good at it, and they got real acceleration as well. You saw Mitchell had a few issues with Saka, you know, just checking to receive the ball to feet and spinning in behind. Martinelli's the same. It's a nightmare for fullbacks really with those two players. You drop off and you let them have the ball, they get torn and they'll run at you and look to beat you 1v1. If you get too tight and they feel you, they'll draw you under the ball and then spin into the space in behind. So yeah, it's a tough ask at the moment for any fullback up against those two Arsenal wingers. They've had two outstanding seasons.
And then, like, with Jesus coming back, Trossard they signed in January, and he's got off to a flyer as well. He's really contributing. It's just everything is going so well for Mikel Arteta. Like, do you see any kind of areas of concern over this last 10 games now for them? A couple of difficult fixtures there with Liverpool away, Manchester City away. Yeah. There's a couple of other games there that they might.
But playing this way, I know what you're saying.
Do you think they could go to those two matches away from home and win them?
Yeah, absolutely. But what's going to be key for them, for me, is just key personnel. So we spoke about Partey a couple of weeks ago, out of the team for a couple of games. Jorginho comes in, drop off for me. Saliba went out of the team today. Holding comes in, done okay today, don't get me wrong, but drop off for me if Holding's going to play there for 4, 5, 6 games, particularly those big games that you're talking about. They got to go to Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City. They had to go to those games where Holding at centre half would be a slight worry. But what's going in their favour now is they haven't got the amount of games coming down the road that Manchester City have. They're pretty much playing week to week from now to the end of the season. Arteta gets his players back from international duty. Fingers crossed he gets most of them back fit. If Saliba isn't kind of long-term, Tomiyasu, get those players back reasonably quickly, then Arsenal are in such a strong position. I really think they're strong favourites at the moment, and what will help them will be a less congested fixture schedule between now and the end of the season. I think that gives them an advantage over Manchester City, who'll be looking to go deep, obviously, in the Champions League.
We know Crystal Palace are in trouble. They hit the panic button during the week, got rid of Patrick Vieira. The talk now is possibly Roy Hodgson, 75 years of age, coming back to the club with whom he has such a close bond, and trying to keep him in the Premier League. Is that a bad move, do you think?
No, it wouldn't necessarily a bad move. I think obviously to have the respect, certainly the players in the dressing room. A number of those players, quite a few of them actually would have worked with him. We know how he kind of tactically, how he sets up the team. But I've got to be honest with you, so nothing wrong with the tactical setup of the team today. The team that Paddy put on the pitch today, in terms of personnel and even in terms of the kind of the structure, in and out possession. Yes, they were kind of dominated and got penned in for reasonably long periods, but that's to be expected. But I thought they looked reasonably comfortable in their defensive shape. They didn't get overly stretched, didn't get opened up too much. Thought the Corey and Miljevic in centre midfield are very disciplined in there. The back four unit generally stood up quite well, I thought, but it's just so much pressure coming, so much sustained pressure over the course of the 90 minutes. It's difficult to hold out. So I didn't think that was a poor defensive performance from Palace today. If anything, I would think Paddy McCarthy, when he looks at that game, I'm sure he'll look at it again this evening with his coaching staff, he'll be happy with a lot with what he saw from his players in terms of the individual performances, defensive discipline. The opening 20-25 minutes, I thought they offered an attacking threat, particularly on the counter-attack, and I thought, this could be an interesting game. Could potentially pick Arsenal off here. Got their goal. Could have had another one. Zaha had a great chance of 3-1. He scores that goal, it's 3-2. It's a totally different game.
Hit the post as well, of course, in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know to be a natural, we've got to get. It's not. I don't look at that Palace team today and think, this is a shambles. They need somebody here to grab a hold of that. Like, they're all over the place. What system were they playing there today? Nobody understood their roles. I actually saw a Palace team today were actually well set up, kind of very disciplined, a lot of clear pictures there in terms of what the players were being asked to do. So I'll give Paddy McCarthy and his coaching staff credit for that. So I can understand the clamour. Hodgson, have a steady hand at the till. But I've got to be honest with you, if I was Steve Parish looking at that kind of not forget about the result, the performance today, I'd be slightly encouraged. You know what I mean, in terms of maybe thinking that Paddy McCarthy's the man. If he's got the kind of personality and he's got a good response from the players during the week on the training ground and in the dressing room, somebody coming in different personality has actually lifted the dressing room. Maybe there's an argument for Paddy keeping on from now till the end of the season. And
of course, he's got Dean Kiley, former Irish goalkeeper, helping him out there, and he'll be on international duty over the next week or so as part of Stephen Kenny's coaching team.
The big one.
The big one.
Forget about the big one at the Aviva yesterday.
He'll be getting his, getting his goalkeepers used to taking shots from Evan Ferguson. At the time of speaking, he's got 2 goals for Brighton in their FA Cup quarter-final. They're going to a semi-final, which is a great achievement by the club. Tony Bloom there seems to be doing things really, really well. But Evan Ferguson, it looks like he should be starting. Stephen Kenny was coying it during the week, Kenny, when he was asked about it. What do you think?
No, I can understand that he's not going to commit to who's going to be in the starting 11. He wouldn't feed that information out to the opposition manager in particular. Yeah, I mean, his performance today, his goals today, don't change anything from my point of view. I feel as if he will start. I think he has to start. I think it warrants it. I think he deserves it. You want to pick your best striker, in-form striker, to start the game against the French. And I know there's an argument relatively inexperienced at this level, but I don't think that's a strong argument when you look at the impact that he's making in a Brighton jersey so far this season. No nerves whatsoever, being asked to start as the number 9 for Brighton. He actually looks as if he's kind of revelled in the responsibility. So no reason to suggest there's going to be any different with an Ireland jersey on his back. So yeah, I think he will start. I think it's the right decision. I think the noise will be who's going to start alongside him if Stephen elects to go with a front two, or maybe even a narrow front three. That'll be the kind of questions which Stephen Kelly and his coaching staff will be kind of wrestling with in the week ahead.
And just finally, excuse me, was there any players you looked at squad you kind of thought, I'd like to see them in there? A few people were talking about maybe Sammy Smodics, Andy Lyons doing well at Blackpool, can cover a few positions. Was there any players you thought stood out that maybe they should be in the squad that weren't?
No, not particularly. No. I thought it was fair. Johnson's an interesting one. Obviously, the managers looked at him at close quarters to bring him kind of directly into the squad. Interested to see what type of player he is. Obviously, been playing in Portugal all season. We haven't really seen him. By all accounts, very skillful player, good little dribbler. So he'll be another option, obviously, for the manager. No, I certainly wouldn't be overly critical. I wasn't overly surprised in terms of the squad which was announced. I think Andy Lyon's an interesting one. Andy was always one, even before he went over to Blackpool. I thought if he starts well at Blackpool, I saw him get a goal the other night actually on the telly. If he starts when he gets minutes under his belt, I thought reasonably quickly he could come into the reckoning in the senior international team because of that versatility that you're talking about. He can play in either wing back position. You know, the amount of goals he scored for Shamrock Rovers prior to going over to Blackpool as well provides an attacking threat. He's a very capable footballer, Andy. So, you know, maybe you could have could have taken a punt and brought Andy into the squad. But I think his time will come. Because I think that left wing back position, wouldn't say it's a problem for us. We got options there in terms of James McLean, O'Dowda, Robbie Brady have all had opportunities there. Enda Stevens to a point. But I think Andy down the line, maybe even those summer games against Greece coming up might come into the equation. But no, I think the squad was a fair one. I think it looks reasonably balanced. So, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Kenny.
Cheers, Steve.